Welcome to Nashville Youth Soccer League. We're thrilled that you've joined our 100% volunteer-led organization. Together we have brought the game of soccer into the lives of children in the Nashville area since 1977, and it is because of people like you that we are able to continue this legacy in our community. My name is Kristin White. I'll be taking you through the responsibilities of coaching and how to create a positive experience on the soccer field this season for both yourself and your players. In this slide, we're going to watch a video from a youth coaching platform called Mojo, whose mission is to make youth sports fun again. Let's listen and watch.
There's a lot to think about as a new coach, but keep these 5 things top of mind and you'll be off to a head start.
The number one priority is just to make sure that the kids are safe. Creating a physically safe environment, creating an emotionally safe environment as well, because the parents are entrusting their most prized possession to you. Make sure that you understand what your role is, and that is to make the child's experience a positive one. As a new coach coming in, right, you got to model a positive behavior, so hopefully they have a positive experience, when they're playing. And one of the best things you can do is just get to know your child. When they come on the field, greet them saying, "Hey, glad you're here," and try and say their name 2 or 3 times in practice. The other thing a coach needs to do is try to understand them as opposed to being understood. Physically, what can they do? Cognitively, what can they do? And socially, where are they at? When I was first coaching, I was very impatient, and I found out, well, you know what, maybe I need to ask them a question or two, why they did what they did. Again, to try and understand it, as opposed for me yelling at them, right, and hope that they understand me. The laws of the game. They need to know what the rules are, the simple rules, and great coaches are great teachers. The saying is coaches are teachers in shorts, right? But a piece of paper or a license doesn't make you a great coach. What makes you a great coach is that the kids that play for you know that you care truly about them. Not about their performance, but about them.
Job of a coach. In addition to what Mojo stated, it's additionally important to understand what we at NYSL believe are important responsibilities. We need you to promote a well-rounded player by encouraging players to play all positions on the field. To really know the game of soccer, they need to understand all the positions firsthand. Therefore, try not to pigeonhole players, especially at the younger ages. We need you to promote and celebrate good sportsmanship. If you witness poor sportsmanship, remind your players of the importance of being respectful, kind, and humble. Mojo stated a safe environment, both emotionally and physically. For NYSL, this is important because we want players to feel comfortable to make mistakes and learn from them. If they are afraid to make mistakes, they'll never reach their full potential as a player. We need you to communicate to both parents and players. Be transparent from the beginning. What are your expectations of both the players and the parents and guardians, such as arriving early or coming prepared? We've included a link to a sample coach introduction letter. To access the link, go to the NYSL website. This whole presentation will be available under the Coaching Resources tab. The better you are at communicating to parents, the easier your season will go. Be prepared for both practices and games. We'll talk more about this on another slide. Ensure all players are getting equal playing time, regardless of ability. Reinforce that everyone is a contributing member of the team and that everyone has value. And encourage creative players who are self-thinkers. Be the in-between. What I mean by that is be engaged, but show some self-control on the sideline by avoiding barking orders at players while they're actively playing. We want the kids to think for themselves, not become dependent on us telling them where to go and what to do. So how to promote players to be self-thinkers during a game? Again, this is a video from Mojo.
Really effective coaches, they really don't do a lot of coaching on the sidelines.
In other words, when it comes to coaching during a game, less is more. It's not so different than a teacher giving their class a test. Hear us out.
School teachers, when they give their kids a test, they don't just stand there and scream the answers. They let their kids take the test, they grade them, and they say, yes, they did understand it. Okay, we can move on. Or, you know what, maybe I need to reteach something again.
That's why great coaching is observing, to figure out which lessons stuck and which could use a refresher.
You can still talk over the top, but we got to remember, like in a 4 versus 4 game, there's 56 possible channels of communication on the field at one time. These kids are trying to manipulate the ball, and then there's noise from the side, there's noise from you. It's overwhelming for them. So coaching with the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old age groups, just be positive, cheer them on. You know, they don't come to work at the game. They come to play at the game.
And use breaks to encourage them, or get back to basics.
Honestly, when they're 5 and 6, your halftime talk is, hey, we're going this way. And just make sure hey, everyone okay? Maybe you give them something to think about when they go back out to the second half, but don't worry necessarily about the outcome of the game, because it's about the process, it's about the effort. And then when they get older, yeah, winning counts. I mean, they play to win the game. If they lose, okay, what can we learn from that loss? Getting it wrong is part of getting it right.
Here are a few other helpful tips. Arrive early so you can greet your players as they arrive. Also, so you can set up and promptly get started for practice. Because if you start on time, parents will arrive on time. Have a routine and be consistent. Kids love routines and consistency. Pre-plan. And it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. There are a lot of resources out there. Here are some that we recommend. Kids just want to play soccer, so it's important to limit these 3 things. Limit the 3 L's: lectures, lines, and laps. In lectures, remember your audience. Children have a limited attention span. If you go over a minute, all they hear is blah, blah, blah. Lines, again, it's all about attention span. Kids don't want to wait, they want to play. Long lines will result in behavior issues with players. Keep kids moving. Laps. Soccer is dynamic. It's not one-directional. Let them warm up and have fun doing so with a ball at their feet. Practices should be challenging, filled with games and activities that are dynamic, age-appropriate, fun, encourage decision-making, and promote movement. After the first practice, you will gain an understanding of where your players are in skill and understanding of the game. Plans can be modified and adjusted to meet the needs of your players. Just recognize that, for example, U8 plans can be used for U10 players. Nothing is set in stone, as long as it's appropriate for the players on your team. Lastly, avoid elimination games, because we all know that the kids that are eliminated from the game are typically the players that need more time on the ball in order to improve. By eliminating them from playing the game, you are decreasing their opportunity to become a better player. So let's talk about when you start practice, to stretch or not to stretch. Elementary age kids don't stretch before going out to recess, nor do they stretch after recess. Therefore, it's not essential to do stretching with kids between the ages of U5 to U8 because, well, they're still flexible and young. Simply having them moving around gets their muscles ready to play soccer. Now, on the other hand, U10 and up is when you should start practices doing dynamic stretching. It's important for children at these ages because these children are beginning massive growth spurts, which result in them being more prone to injury. We spoke about how kids love routine in the slide before. Stretching is one of these routines that they will appreciate. For many, it's going to be their cue that practice has officially begun. Dynamic stretching is active movements where joints and muscles go through a full range of motion. It is a controlled way of warming up the muscles. Examples could be high knees, or some people call other ones called butt kicks. Below are links to some dynamic stretching exercises. Now, static stretching is for the end of practice. It's what would be called a more traditional way we think about stretching. where you hold a stretch for an elongated period of time. Again, it's a nice way of instituting a routine, and it is a cue for players that practice is ending. Additionally, it's an opportunity for you as a coach to highlight and praise their hard work during practice and even give reminders of upcoming practices or games. Keep in mind that both dynamic and static stretching is also a great opportunity to have players learn responsibilities such as leading their team through a set of stretches. In this slide and the next slide, they both go hand in hand. We want you to plan your practice around this slide. This slide says that players should have 500 to 800 touches. Yes, that does seem like a lot. However, it's easily accomplished at a practice, especially if you keep the ball to player ratio low. But notice how the player to ball ratio increases with age, which makes sense due to their developmental level. However, note that 1-to-1 ratio is always present through all of the age divisions. Remember that even if the players you're coaching are older, do not assume that they're competent in ball control. Give all players the opportunity to work on their individual skills before moving to a large player to ball ratio. If you don't do this, you run the risk of players minimally touching the ball, therefore reducing their opportunity to develop as a player and not having as much fun. This is also the reason why, when you play games or scrimmage during practice, it's most effective to play small-sided games like 4v4 or 6v6 to enable all players to be involved. Setting age-appropriate expectations. Align your expectations with the age that you're coaching. So in U6, when they're younger, all they can see is themselves and the ball. They don't want to share their toy that they work so hard to get, which is the ball. Recognize that when you see a scrum of children around the ball during a game, this is developmentally appropriate for the U6 age. They're not yet old enough to see past themselves. Just me and my ball. Now in U8, they start to see past themselves. They actually start passing, but typically only to one other individual, and that one other individual is typically their friend. Now in U10, players start recognizing that they're part of a larger unit, the team. They begin distributing the ball and working together as a team. This is actually a huge developmental year. In U12 through U18, U19, they begin to have a strong foundational understanding that a team that works together, both offensively and defensively, will be a successful team. Players really start beginning to see the field and are more apt to trust one another and support one another on the field. In this slide, it gives you the developmental progression in coaching and player actions. Let's look again at U6. U6, it's simple. Learn to shoot on the opposition's goal and pass or dribble forward. And defensively, it's to protect the goal and steal the ball. As you move up in age, we're building off of those foundational concepts of soccer and adding new concepts on. Remember that NYSL is a recreational soccer program. We allow anyone who wants to play soccer to join, and we do not require any prior experience with the game. Therefore, never assume understanding. You may have players on your team who have been playing for years. Meanwhile, you may have players who have never kicked a ball or know any of the rules. It is always important to review concepts and always encourage questions, and most importantly, make your players feel comfortable. In talking about the appropriate age expectations, this is a pyramid structure coming from USU Soccer. If you look at Zone 1, Zone 1 is where the largest number of NYSL players are found, between the U6 to U12 age range. In this zone, the development of the player is the most important component, not the game outcome. The focus is primarily the technical development of the player, such as how to dribble the ball, settle the ball, pass the ball, strike the ball. As I've said before, never assume that kids know these skills as they move up in division. And in this zone, the primary measure of success is the player's enjoyment of the game, an improvement of their skills, and understanding the rules of the game, playing fairly, and learning general game principles. Now we move up to zone 2, from the U14 to U17 age range, or U8, even if this zone incorporates more of a tactical component, remember the players still need to focus on refining their technical skills. You'll never find a professional player that does not continue to refine their ball control. Because we're a recreational league, we continue to emphasize the player development over the game outcome, even at this older age. This is important. We don't want to compromise our players' abilities just for the win. In this slide, it's comparing our players to that of popcorn. It says that popcorn is prepared in the same pot, in the same heat, and with the same oil, yet the kernels do not pop at the same time. Children can train in the same environment, do the same practice with the same coaches, but like popcorn, they'll develop at different times. Give them time and give them patience. Patience is the key word. Your players will be different in a multitude of different ways. Their physical development and coordination. By the way, remember, a lot of these kids are going through a growth spurt. They're growing, therefore they might be a little clumsy at times. Their emotional and mental development. They're going to be different in their drive and desire. They're going to be different in their field awareness and in their technical skill. So be patient. With time, a kid who struggled when they were maybe 10 could be the best player on the field when they're 16. Every kid gets there at a different time. This is so important. Your behavior as a coach, it really does matter. What you say directly translates into an athlete's behavior and into their happiness. If the coach or parent is screaming at officials, the child will learn not to respect authority. They'll learn that it's acceptable to yell when in disagreement, and the result will be that players will start mimicking behavior on the field by complaining about calls. The players will also start deflecting blame instead of accepting their personal responsibility for their mistakes. Now, if a coach or parent yells when a child makes a mistake, the child will learn that, well, mistakes are not allowed, resulting in the player's fear of failure because they are less apt to try new techniques. They're also learning that the child is also going to be learning to mimic your behavior by yelling at teammates instead of positively encouraging teammates. So let's be that coach on the right and not the coach on the left. Additionally, keep in mind that in terms of referees are human just like us. A lot of our referees at NYSL are actually kids, and in fact, this could very well be their first job. They all have a challenging job, requiring them to make split-second decisions, and sometimes they'll make mistakes, as we all do. If you disagree with a call, please remain calm and respectful. My advice to you is to stay focused on the game at hand rather than dwelling on the referee's decision. And please be positive. This video is from the Positive Coaches Alliance. It was created with the mission to create a world where every young person benefits from a positive youth sports experience with a coach who inspires them to become the very best version of themselves in the game and in life. Let's watch and listen.
The most important thing that kids and people want from us is that we care about them as a person, and to teach them that you do not have your self-worth connected to your skill level in something. They're two separate issues. You're a beautiful human being, you're fantastic, and that's it, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you're ranked, number 250,000 in the world or number 1, that does not matter.
Yes, there are expectations. Yes, there are great demands. But yes, we realize you're a human being.
A lot of times what they need is love and just a positive reinforcement.
This is something we all are in together as a family.
If you can be positive about what they're doing out there, they will listen.
I can get far more out of my players if I'm doing it with a smile on my face, with energy in my voice. I'm being clear in what I want from them, and I'm letting them know that I believe in them.
Being positive on a daily basis, you have a choice. You make a choice of, the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. You make a choice of bringing negative or positive to a meeting, to a relationship, to a basketball court, or to you.
PCA is one of the greatest organizations that I've ever been affiliated with.
I think having fun creates good team chemistry.
I get a better response, better effort.
We're going to be in their corner. We're going to be supportive.
Because I am demonstrating through my positivity, my joy, my excitement, that I believe in them.
It is crucial for coaches to send that message.
Every moment is a teaching moment.
You can help a child or a person believe in themselves. It's everything.
Ultimately, we want to keep kids playing sports. We can do that with your positivity as a coach and keeping the fun in playing soccer. If you are having fun, they will have fun. Did you know that 70% of kids in the United States stop playing organized sports by the age of 13? And a large percentage of those kids are girls. And having fun is the primary reason for their participation in organized sports. And in its absence, it's the number one reason for youth sport attrition. So let's keep fun in soccer. And regardless of the age you are coaching, keep the fun in soccer. Measure their enjoyment by the smiles on their faces. And the goal is that 20 years from now, the player will still find enjoyment in the sport of soccer. And who knows, maybe they too will become a volunteer coach when they grow up. If you want to learn more about coaching, there are U.S. youth soccer grassroots courses you can take. If you're interested in taking one of these courses, feel free to contact us and we'll actually pay for the course. And most importantly, thank you so much for volunteering. We hope you have a great season. And we'll see you out on the field. Bye and thank you.